It's been 40 years since I arrived at this apartment in the heart of Mexico City. The curtains still have a faint scent of the band, like when Ernesto vaporized with such care, saying that they would last longer. The floor creaks in the usual places, and the wall of the corridor still preserves the pencil marks we drew while Javier was growing up. Each line a memory that I will never forget. I dared to cover with paint. Every morning, I wake up at 6:30, not because I have somewhere to go, but because my body has the rhythm of a recorded life dedicated to caring. I boil an egg, I toast 2 slices of bread, and prepare a pot of coffee. Not with those one-cup machines that everyone uses now, but with the old coffee maker that gurgles as if it were telling me stories. I set the table carefully, even if it's just for me. Napkin of fabric, not paper, ceramic cup, not the one that is chipped. There is a dignity in routine. Javier used to call every Sunday. He asked about my rose bushes if I continued going to the lottery nights with Carmen. But it's been weeks, maybe months, since the last time we spoke. He mentioned a new opportunity, a consulting job in the foreign. His voice sounded hurried. Deep down, I heard Alejandra laughing about something that I didn't understand. I don't blame him. Life pulls people forward. I was just hoping he'd come back a little bit more often. Sometimes at night, I stay a little longer by the window in case he calls and I need to take the quick phone. He hasn't called yet. Today, I watered the edge inside. Ernesto called it the stubborn one, the plant that survived all the moving and all seasons. It's still here, and me too. The knock on the door arrived just as I was putting away the dishes. It wasn't the gentle touch of a neighbor. It was firm, official. I opened the door expecting to see Carmen or maybe a misdirected package. Instead, there were 2 men on the mat with well-ironed shirts, dry voices, and folders that were already weighing on my chest before they spoke. "Mrs. Salazar?" the taller one asked. "Yes," I said. He handed me a thick envelope. "We came to notify you of a court-order eviction. You have 24 hours to leave the property." I laughed. It wasn't elegant, it was sharp and absurd. There must be a mistake. I've been living here since 1983. This is my apartment. The other, younger man seemed not to want to be there. He looked at the papers and then at me with something like pity. "Lady, records show that the property was sold legally. The ownership has already changed." I looked at the envelope. The words had no sense. I hadn't sold anything, nor had I ever even put it up for sale. I stopped paying anything. This apartment was mine. Ours. Ernesto and I signed each mortgage page together. I still had the documents in the filing cabinet under the microwave. I asked them to wait. I ran to the kitchen, opened the drawer, and took out the folder, a faded manila one, thick with time. I glanced at the papers with trembling fingers. My name wasn't where it should be. My name was nowhere to be seen. The tall man cleared his throat. "We will return tomorrow morning to confirm that the property is unoccupied." I didn't accompany them to the exit. I stayed there, clinging to papers that no longer meant anything. The door closed with a click. I dropped into a chair from the kitchen, still holding the folder as if it could explain something to me, as if it could defend me. But it didn't. Neither when I dialed Javier, nor when the voicemail jumped, nor even after the 3rd attempt. When the door closed behind them, I took the phone with both hands, as if it were a lifesaver. Javier's number continued to top my contacts, his photo smiling, tanned by a trip to Cancun. He looked at me as if everything was okay. I pressed call. It rang once, twice, 4 times. Voicemail. I hung up and tried again. Maybe the signal failed. Maybe he was driving, maybe it was a problem of time zone, although I didn't even know where he was already. Nothing. On the 3rd try, I attempted to leave a message. I tried to keep my voice steady, to sound like a mother with a simple question. "Javier, I'm Mom. Some people just came to the door, something about the apartment being sold. I think it's an error. Can you call me right away?" I didn't say the word evicted. It got stuck in my throat like a betrayal that I wasn't ready to pronounce. I put down the phone, stared at it, then took it again. This time, I sent an emergency message. "Please, call me now." The silence of the apartment became denser. I walked to the bedroom, to the place where I kept a copy of Ernesto's will in a leather envelope. My clumsy fingers struggled with the closure. I read the pages, searching for a name, mine. And there was Javier Salazar, beneficiary of the property, with the stipulation of lifetime occupation granted to the spouse. Rosario Salazar had the right to be here. It was written in ink. And still, two strangers were in my kitchen telling me to leave in 24 hours. I called again. Voicemail. The air felt lighter by the moment. My chest was tight, but my thoughts were clearer than in years. Something didn't add up. Javier had to know it. I picked up the phone once more and dialed. Just as the bell rang anew, it was Carmen at the door, holding an apple pie that had clearly been baked hours earlier, with her apron still dusted with flour. But one look at my face, and she entered without hesitation, leaving the pie forgotten, with concern in her voice. What happened? I didn't answer immediately. I gave her the envelope. She scanned the notification. Her lips pressed together. Then her eyes opened wide when moving to the second page. Rosario, this is a final sales record, dated 2 weeks ago. The buyer, the money has already been transferred. It's done. I felt myself sink into the sofa as if the weight of the papers would drag me straight to the ground. I shook my head. But I didn't sell anything. I never signed anything. Carmen's voice softened. Were you in the deed, Rosario? I thought so. We bought this place together, Ernesto and I, years ago. She paused. Do you know if they updated the title after he died? I didn't answer. I already knew. Between the grieving and trust, I had filed everything away. Ernesto handled the legal details, and then when he died, Javier took the papers, the taxes. He said that everything was resolved. I took out the old folder from the table drawer. Pages of our past scattered, electricity bills, warranties, birthday cards from decades ago. I finally found it, the original deed. 2 names, Ernesto Salazar and Javier Salazar. No mention of me. I must have signed something back then, some transfer of title, some roll of trust. I let them guide my pen. I never asked questions. Carmen didn't say, I told you so. She just sat next to me in silence, firm. Maybe he didn't mean to do it that way, I whispered, almost to myself. Maybe there is a way to reverse it. Carmen carefully placed the documents on the coffee table. It's legal, Rosario. The sale went through. The buyer already has the keys. It's done. I picked up the phone again, wishing it would ring. Nothing. Outside, the sky changed colors, and my home, my whole life, was slipping into the hands of someone else, and he still didn't return my call. It was after midnight when the phone finally lit up. I was lying on the couch, still dressed, with the documents scattered on the table like pieces of a broken frame. The screen displayed his name, Javier. My hand trembled as I answered. Javier, I said. A pause, then his voice, calm, too calm. Hi, Mom. My throat closed. I've been calling all day. Did you get my messages? Yes, I saw them. Sorry, things have been very busy. Moves. Officers visited me this morning. They said that the apartment was sold. Another pause. Then, yes, I wanted to talk to you about that. My breathing stopped. Did you sell it? Technically? Yes. It's already closed. Alejandra and I are leaving next week to Portugal. Everything happened quickly. He said it as if he were reading me an itinerary, as if updating a work calendar. Did you sell my home? It's not personal, Mom. It just came up, this opportunity, and the apartment continued in my name. I thought you'd be okay. You've talked about simplifying before, of giving away old coats. No, my home. I didn't think you'd be so upset, he added. You'll find something else. Maybe better. I can send you a list of rents. Then I understood, not only what he had done, but the ease with which he said it, as if I was a minor detail in a much larger plan, like a line that moved to make room for something brighter. I couldn't hold back my tears. I have 24 hours. You didn't even tell me. Silence on his side. Then, with cutting practicality, he said, You'll be well, Mom. Carmen can help. You've always been good in crisis. I burst out laughing, bitter, exhausted. This wasn't a crisis, Javier. It was a choice. Mom, we're not going to do this now. I'll call when we're settled in. The line went silent before I realized he had hung up. I stood there, holding the phone against my ear as if I could bring him back. But he didn't. Only me, the walls, and the hum of something breaking deep inside. I wiped my face with the back of my hand, got up, went to the bedroom, and opened the drawer where I kept the will. It was time to remember exactly what his father had done. By the morning, I had reread the will twice and underlined the clause that became my only defense. The property may not be sold or transferred without the written consent of Rosario Salazar, who retains the right to occupation until her death or voluntary abandonment. Ernesto insisted on that wording. I remember how special it was to him to respect. Then I didn't give it any importance. Now it was all I had. I called Javier just after 8. This time, he answered. "Mom," he sighed, as if I were a delay on his itinerary. "I won't take much of your time," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I just want to ask, did you read the complete will?" A pause. "I read enough to know that the place was mine." "But you read everything?" Clause 17, paragraph 3. He didn't answer. I waited. "I'm not sure," he murmured at last. "Why?" "Because, Javier," I said, unfolding the paper in front of me, "you can't sell the apartment without my written consent, and I never gave it." "That can't be right." "It is. Your father made sure of that. He left you the deed, yes, but it gave me the right to live here until I decided to leave." Silence again. "You didn't check it, did you?" I said, not with anger, but with something colder, something closer to the truth. "I thought it was clean. The lawyer said that the title was in my name. And lawyers don't read relatives' intentions." "Javier, read the papers." His voice lowered. "So what does that mean?" "It means that the sale is invalid, and the buyer will find out soon enough." "I've already made some calls." "Are you serious?" "I'm 68 years old." "You sold my home without a conversation." "Yes, Javier, I'm serious." He exhaled heavily, like a man who feels the first edge of something escaping him. "I have to go," he said. "Alejandra's packing things. I'll call when I can." "Read the will," I said before the line went dead. "This time, everything." I folded the paper and kept it in the envelope. Then I put it carefully on the kitchen table, between the salt and the sugar bowl, like a silent declaration of war. Somewhere across the ocean, my son finally understood that he had made a very expensive mistake. It took 3 days before I had news. Then, out of the blue, I received Javier's email. "I need to talk." He didn't call, didn't explain, just disappeared again, but I could imagine it. I saw him walking in a gleaming banking district in Lisbon, with sweat accumulating on his neck while the cashier typed on her screen and frowned. I imagined the moment when the numbers returned a zero balance. He had transferred the funds from the sale of the apartment to a joint account with Alejandra. His idea of starting a future, her idea turned out to be very different. She went. I imagined he called her without answer, sent her messages without reply. I imagined the growing panic as he checked his photo archive and found it empty, his shared playlists erased, his name removed from the travel reservations, blocked it all. By the time he realized it wasn't a misunderstanding, it was too late. She took everything, every peso, every password, every illusion. And the apartment couldn't even reverse that, because I had already filed a legal objection with the new owner. My occupancy clause had put everything on hold. When he finally called, his voice had changed. It was softer, stripped of its easy confidence. "Mom, she's gone," he said softly. "I know. She emptied the account, every peso. She planned it. From the beginning," I said. A pause. "I think you're right." Another pause. Then he added, almost to himself, "I thought we were building something." I let that float between us. "You were," I said gently, "but not with her. He hasn't asked for money yet." Maybe he still had some pride left. Maybe he knew I wouldn't offer. We hung up without resolution, only silence on both sides. But in that silence, I felt the weight change, and for the first time since the knock on the door, I breathed without feeling that something was closing in around me. The next morning, I knew exactly what I was going to do. The day I left the apartment, I didn't cry. I packed only what mattered. Some photos, my favorite coffee cup, the quilt that Ernesto's mother made the year we got married. I left the rest behind, more things linked to habit rather than memory. Carmen arrived with a rented van and 2 thermoses of coffee. She asked no questions, just wrapped plates in newspaper and passed me rolls of tape, as if we were moving toward something, not out of something. What Javier never knew, what even Ernesto once called our silent insurance, was the account that opened the year after we paid the mortgage. I deposited a few thousand pesos every year, just in case, he said, for if something goes wrong. I never touched it. Not even when the roof leaked, not even when Javier needed help with tuition, nor even after Ernesto died. But after the knock on the door and my son's silence, I knew exactly why Ernesto left it there. The condominium in the center was not ostentatious, but it had large windows that filled the space with light and a balcony that caught the afternoon sun, just as it should be. I paid cash, without a mortgage, without confirming, without ties. Carmen helped me hang new, bright yellow curtains that didn't match anything I had, but they made the whole place feel like a possibility. I painted a wall by myself. My back hurt for 2 days later, but I did it on my own account. Some nights, I still woke up waiting for the creak of the staves from the old place, but in this new space, the silence did not hurt, it expanded. I was not rescued, I was not destroyed, I just remembered who I was. When Javier's envelope arrived a week later, forwarded from the old address, I opened it with firm hands. Inside was a photo and a note. I'm coming home. I hope you'll see me. I read it twice, then folded it. He called just after 7. I had just sat down with a cup of tea and a book I wasn't reading. I knew it was him before opening the door. Javier was there with yesterday's clothes. He seemed smaller than I remembered, his face haggard, his eyes uncertain. He held his suitcase as if he didn't know whether to ask to enter or leave. I opened the door wider and walked out to meet him. "Hi, Mom," he said softly. I nodded. "You're back." He exhaled, as if he had been holding the air for 2 months. I didn't know where else to go. "I believe it." I looked at his shoes. Then he held out an envelope. "Here it is, all of it. Bank records, police report. I've tried to reverse some transfers. I know it's too late." I didn't take it. "What do you expect me to say?" "I don't know," he said. "Make peace with me, that you think I didn't want to hurt you, that maybe you'll let me fix it." I looked at him, really looked at him. The lines around his mouth, the fallen shoulders, the weight of decisions reaching him. "You forgot a detail," I said in a low voice. "What is it?" "This was never just an apartment." He nodded slowly, as if he finally understood that what he took was not a physical space, it was security, memory, trust. "I know," he whispered. "I'm not angry," I said. "But I'm not the same woman who was waiting by the phone either." His eyes filled with tears. "I wouldn't blame you if you never talked to me again." "I will," I said, surprising us both. "But I won't be the one looking for you. Not anymore." He didn't ask to come in, and I didn't invite him. I saw him turn and walk down the hall, slower than I used to. I stayed in the threshold long after he left, until the wind picked up and reminded me that I had left the kettle on the stove. 3 days passed before he returned, no suitcase this time, just an insecure knock and hands in his coat pockets. I let him in. We sat across from each other in my new kitchen. The light was soft, the air permeated with Earl Grey. I slid an envelope across the table. He didn't take it immediately. "There's an address inside," I said. "A small rental near Hidalgo Street. I paid the first month. It's clean and safe, a few blocks from the bus stop." His jaw tightened, but he didn't speak. I didn't fill the silence. "There's also a key," I added. "Just one. You'll have to make your own copies." He finally looked at me. "Why are you doing this?" I took a breath. "Because you're still my son. And because you need to know what it feels like to build something yourself. Don't borrow it. Don't steal it. Build it." "I have nothing. You have time. That's more than some have." He looked at the envelope for a long time. "I don't deserve this." "No," I said. "You don't." He shuddered, but I didn't soften it. "This isn't forgiveness. It's a beginning. What you do with it, that's on you." He nodded slowly, the kind of assent they give when they finally stop looking for shortcuts. When he got up to leave, he looked around the apartment. "It's lovely." "It's mine," I said. "Every little piece." At the door, he stopped. "I'll see you again." I looked into his eyes. "That depends on who you become later." He nodded once more and left with the envelope under his arm, as if it were something fragile. I saw him through the window, the hunched shoulders, the weight of the key heavier than the suitcase he was carrying before. And when the door closed behind him, I returned to the stove and poured the rest of the tea. I sat down at the table I bought myself, in a home that was only mine. The silence no longer hurt, it made space.